Hey guys, I want to welcome you to the weekly Wednesday for the Financial Freedom newsletter, where every week, every Wednesday, we delve into something inspirational, motivational, something excerpt taken from the Financial Freedom weekly newsletter. Wherever you are, if you're listening on Spotify, on iTunes, Google, be sure to click the like, subscribe, share, comment. And without ado, let's get into the show. Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode. I'm really excited about today's guest, Rhonda Parker. She's going to talk to us all about authorship, influencer, entrepreneur. She's got a lot of interesting ideas just about resiliency, vulnerability, and sharing your thoughts and ideas through the written word and forming a community around this. So, Rhonda, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So the what's interesting is you have a really interesting story. So tell people about your journey, and we'll get right into what your, the meat of it.
Sure. Okay. So I'm out of Indiana. I'm born and raised in the Noblesville area. So I'm kind of a small community individual from birth on. Really, when you look at my bio, you would think, this person must have always had an easy pathway through academic, business, and actually it was kind of quite the opposite. I have definitely the Midwest mentality of hard work and grit. And I think sometimes we forget about that. I wasn't academically strong when I was younger, even though I have a doctorate now. And I struggled with different concepts that were being taught at the younger elementary, high school years. So, I had to take a kind of a different path. I had to start through the junior college, then go on and get my bachelor's, master's, and doctorate. But what I found in that journey was that when you don't fit the mold of someone that's supposed to be successful, you learn different ways to navigate the world. My father used to always say, quit comparing yourself. When you compare yourself, you are robbing yourself of your own purpose. And I never really got that until my older years. I don't know if you've ever experienced something like that, but when you compare yourself, it just seems like you, in a way, forget what your path's supposed to be. And then so after I went through the academic journey part of it, I was like, I need to find also my purpose, because I loved helping others. But sometimes when we're helping others, we miss also nurturing ourselves. So I started to write, and you mentioned the authorship, Crossroads, which is a fiction novel. And you're going to say, why would a business student want to write a fiction novel? And what I found in that process was I was developing myself. I was becoming a life learner. I did academic journals, and my most famous one would be on emotional intelligence. But, when you write for enjoyment, you find something totally different inside you. So I learned to be more creative, and I learned to analyze relationships. So for your physicians out there, I know you have a big populations of physicians. You'd love the way I do a character development. I use what they call a SOAP note, which is what in medical records where you do the, how tall are they? How, what's their skin tone? Does it have, do they have a fast heart rate? Do they have family, history of diabetes, emphysema, whatever it might be? And I go through each one of my characters so I know how they're going to react. So if there's something adrenaline oriented, are they going to get nervous? Are they going to have a cough because they have emphysema? Do they have, what is it that about this individual that's unique to them and their history? Because as we know, our bodies kind of store up all of our history. Mm-hmm. And so so I would never have thought I would be a bestseller author. I did it for me. I wrote it, then it sat on my desk for a long time until one day I went to do something on the disc that it was saved on, and I had eaten one of the fourths of the series, because it's a series, and I was like, oh my goodness, I better do something, or it's, all that work and all that time is going to be lost. So I was like, you know what, this is my new purpose. I'm going to stay helping others. I'm going to stay in the academic realm of researching and mentoring, but at the same time, for me, I'm going to write.
Yeah, that's a really interesting, kind of a roundabout journey. And I love how you talked about how entrepreneurs find shortcuts around different things, and it just makes you more nimble. And, this idea of writing, it always helps you to kind of formulate your thoughts, and it's you can get into flow very quickly when you're writing. It helps you to, so you talked a lot about a lot of gems there. So this idea, we go around this writing, if people are interested in getting started, do they need to go through all this hoop jumping to find the publisher, or can they just start writing, self-publish it, go on to Amazon, get a lot of followers? What are your thoughts?
I think that they need to do what's best for them. So as an entrepreneur, when I first wrote it, at first it was chicken scratch. You get the book down. I would take a note and then I'd go back and type it. And back when I started it, I didn't really know where it was going to end. It's like, okay, am I going to have 1 book, 2 books, 3 books? What is it that I'm trying to do? And I decided that the message was the most important. So the message, like in book 1, is anger is cruel and fury is overwhelming, but who can stand before jealousy? And all 3 of those things are proverbial. It's from Proverbs, that you can't, not all of those are downfalls for individuals. Which one is going to be your downfall? And then the final phrase of that, or the section of that, is envy makes the bones rot. And it goes back kind of to my upbringing. So you get the book out first, worry about the publishing later. Then pick what's best for you. So I've talked to all kinds of people about whether you should get go through the whole writing the query letters. Yeah, you can write the query letters, but realize that only 1% of the people, it's like trying to get in the NFL, get a publisher on their first try. So yes, try that. But at the same time, look at your other options. For me, I needed someone to walk me through those steps. So I found what they call a mixed publisher. It's Seacoast and Mindster. I don't know if you're familiar with them. And what they do is they not only help you to make sure it's edited correctly and you have a professional, do the publishing part of it, but they help you with the marketing part. And that was important to me, because how in the world am I going to know? Okay, I'm a business major that's been in manufacturing and education all my life. How am I going to know how to get an ISBN number or the barcode? So I needed someone to kind of walk me through that and say, this is what we're doing, and this is how you do it if you want to do it in the future. And talk me through, okay, yes, you have a website for your mentoring, but you need one for your book. And did you know that influencers are important, and you need to query them as much as you do the agents and the publishers? And these are things that most authors don't even think about, and don't expect that the first time you hit that cha-ching for the book to go live, that you're going to have a million followers and 1 million book sales, because it doesn't work. It's still a business. And I think that that's where authors kind of forget that it's a business. So guess what? After it's written, you have to contact bookstores. You have to, shake hands, go to networking events. You got to do all the same things you do for any other business, or it's not going to be successful. So pick. Now you're laughing. Why are you laughing?
I find your energy very infectious, and your just excitement. And how do you find the joy in this crazy world? Because everywhere you look, it's like, one thing I was looking at is the birth rate. Nobody wants to have kids, and our world is going to shit, for lack of a better term. And there's so much corruption and climate change, and it's even there was one interview with Starbucks, Howard Schultz. He said if you were to start Starbucks today, we wouldn't survive because all of this, regulation, and it's like really hard. So how do you find joy in all of this crazy world?
Well, I think hard knocks, first of all. When you've had, I come from immigrant. Okay, my dad's family were Polish immigrant, and he started a steel manufacturing plant. So my first job was bagging feet, about 5-6 years old, for furniture, for the metal aquarium stand, sitting and watching TV, bagging feet, and then bending steel, working on a paint line with a hot, paint. I don't know if all your manufacturing CEOs know it's one of the goriest jobs. So I know if I was in trouble, that's what I was going to do. I was going to be on the paint line in the 120, 30 degrees with paint sticking to me. And I think that prepared me for life. And I think what you have to do, and yes, there's always disappointment. My life has been a series of disappointments on top of joy. But in those, that blue collar grit has helped me realize that even in adversity, you have to find the joy. It could be when my mother was sick and dying from cancer, was all of us being in the hospital room with her. You happen to be talking to me on a mile marker day for myself and my family. My mom passed away to cancer on September 19th. In 2000, adopted son was shot and killed at work on September 19th, 2009. And then my father, who had emphysema, on his deathbed on September 19th, 2000. And we reminded him that it was, the same day as my mother. And he said, I'll let her have her day. And he passed on September 20th. Yeah. And in those times, our whole family has realized that, it's the bond of people. It's the laughing through the tears. It's looking at the deer in your yard that's passing through your yard, or a red-winged blackbird that may, land on your side view mirror while you're at a stoplight, and and you're looking at it, and it's a beautiful bird, but you don't want to hurt it. It could be any small thing daily that you have to find. If you're not looking for it, or if you're not acknowledging it, you won't have joy. The day is a grind. You got to go to work. You got to eat. You got to, and heaven help if you can't agree on what you want to eat. Then there's you got to argue through it. So all of those are just the daily stuff. And you're right. You can turn the news on, and I make sure I stay up on the news because it's important. But if you don't, look for the joy, you'll let that news make you not want to get out of bed. Like you said, how do you do it? Well, you go out and get some vitamin D from the sun. You look for anything. Sit in a chair that you don't normally sit on in your house. It could be something small. Yeah.
So the little things, and just a great, basically, appreciation and gratitude.
Yes, you have to. You have to. If the world will consume you.
So I assume you're part of the boomer generation, boomer or Gen X. I'm kind of a Gen X millennial, Xennial, I guess what they call it. But do you think the problems, I guess there are different kinds of problems, where there are more problems now, or we had it pretty good and we're just kind of entitled and just complaining and
I think it's different. I think that's a good question. I think we all need to think about it. So when I was growing up, I could get on a bike and I could ride it, or I could walk for miles and no one would harass, or you wouldn't have any problems really, coming from a small community. I live in Indianapolis now, which is a big city, and you better take some mace with you, maybe even be, just to make sure that, if nothing else, the wild dog that you knew down in the country, you knew you could escape it, but, now the wild dog might get you, so I think that it's the same, but it's different. I think that we don't have the bonds of relationship. And I do mention that in a side way in Crossroads, because when I wrote the book, I thought it was about the injustices And it is. I mean, that is a factor in the book, in the legal system, because it's a crime thriller. But at the time, as there's interplayed with each other in the book, I realized it was bigger than that. It was about the fact that we sometimes place our loyalties falsely. And you might say, well, what do you mean by falsely? Well, it might be that we place it on work. Well, I've been working, like I said, since I was 6 years old, in different magnitudes, obviously. And I thought that work wasn't it's a main part of my character. I would say I'm a reformed workaholic. So where others might drink, I spend way too much time on my computer, and I have to kind of set a time and say, you will get off at this time and you will do this. So we're so confined by our expectation for material things, and we all want material things, that we forget to bond with our loved ones. Do you call your sister, your brother, your friend that you've known since you were 2? Do you go for that walk to make sure that you stay healthy? You got to do that life balance. So I found that is more of a priority to me now than it was maybe in my 20s and 30s. Without those bonds, we have total dysfunction in our families and our relationships. So if we don't eat dinner together once in a while, which we did when we were younger, then there is no, you're causing more chaos for yourself. You have no support system.
Yeah. Really interesting. And I love this. I recommend the listeners to go to Rhonda's, I'm sure it's on Amazon, check out the book. I'm going to do the same as well after this. How can people contact you, follow you on social media, and reach out to you?
Sure. I've tried to make it very easy for everybody, because I'm kind of dyslexic when it comes to things that I don't remember, and I think, I'm going to try to do this. And I've been that way all my life. I'll send a text with 10 different typos in it, and it tear in my eyes that, when I looked at it, that it was right. And then as soon as I hit send, I see all 10 of them. So it's RhondaParkerTaylor.com, and Rhonda's with an H, RHONDA, Parker, PAR, and Taylor, TO.com. And that's on everything. All the social medias, everything's Rhonda Parker Taylor. Please shoot me an email if you have any questions on how I've written the book. I'd be glad to mentor you through some of that. Also, when you go there, look at some of the things that maybe some of the suggestions and stuff that the book brings to you, because there'll be a second book coming out, which is a life balance self-help book. So if you read the book and you find out, hey, I'm out of balance, I'm not getting the joy, then the life balance book is set to come out in November. And it basically takes you through the steps that I've taken, or I've taken my classes through. And I have to do it all the time. I do it every 5 years. I go back through it because, I change. The world changes. And sometimes what I think I was getting joy in, maybe I've overexhausted it, like the TV set. During the pandemic, we watched so much TV that it's time to do other things. So you have to integrate what brings you happiness.
Awesome. And for all the listeners out there, let's thank Rhonda for coming on, and definitely check out her books, and whether to go to self-publishing or the traditional route. The beauties of being an entrepreneur, always finding ways around these different hoops, the problems with the world today. But like I said, gratitude and just appreciation in the moment and all of Rhonda's links will be in the link in the show notes. And with that, thanks so much for coming on to the podcast.
Thank you. Have a good day, everybody. Find your joy.
I hope you really enjoyed that wonderful, inspirational, motivational piece. Again, wherever you are listening, if you liked it, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. We're on everywhere: Spotify, iTunes, Google, Amazon, Audible. And without much ado, be sure to thank this show's sponsors, and we'll see you next week.